If you've played Valorant or any other online game, you just know how important healers are, right? In this story, Nigris is one of those healer-type adventurers. Not only does he possess the ability to heal anything and anyone, but he also has the ability to scan the abilities of others, making him a force to be reckoned with. Nigris meets the unfortunate fate of getting betrayed by his own party despite his magic. Nigris starts from ground zero, forming a new party with an elf and a mage, hoping to help as many people as possible. Are you curious to see what happens when they fight the S-ranked party? Watch until the end of the video to find out. In this world, while it may be uncommon, people with extraordinary abilities exist that outclass the average person. A young boy called Nigris has a skill called assessment, and in his own words, it isn't that good. Nigris informs his party that the monster is furious, nearly succumbing to madness. His signal prepares his party for a defensive maneuver. His assessment ability bears dual functionality, as it even allows for healing magic to support from behind the scenes. The giant orc topples as the party claims its victory at last. The Bakugo of this group thinks that they'll soon surpass the S-rank parties. They're already celebrating, wondering if they could become Andrew Tate levels of rich by becoming SS rank adventurers. The celebration is going well, until Nigris is abruptly told to yeet himself out of the party. The confused Nigris questions what brought this sudden development. His party members ridicule him in hearty laughter, calling him the weakling of a punk who can't even fight. They think he's a parasite seeping away their rewards in an S-rank party. Despite their cruel words, Nigris defends himself by stating the usefulness of his assessment skill in combat. However, the arrogant adventurers aren't here to listen to his demands. They want someone more capable in their party, someone who could aid with their combat. Once again, Nigris objects that he possesses the healing magic that saved them countless times. Alas, Nigris is told to shut up. The arrogant adventurer thinks that Nigris' healing magic is completely useless. Nigris is shocked, but the adventurer is so confident of his strength that he states that the skill would be completely useless to them in battle. The adventurer knew Nigris as a childhood friend and let him cling on for a few years, but now that time was over. Zell, despite being buddies with the boy since childhood, was hollering such words at him. Even though Azel's combat ability leads him to greater strength in each battle, Nigris always tries to hone his defensive abilities and healing magic to ensure nothing happens to his friend. However, the complete opposite has happened. The boy who believed in his comrades just found out the hard way that he was worthless to them all along. Nigris accepts the current situation and declares that he will leave the party. Azel is best pleased with the outcome, and even shouts that their S-rank party will grow to greater heights now that they don't have a freeloader on the team. The scene switches to Nigris informing the guild receptionist that he was kicked out of the team. The receptionist told him that Nigris would be placed at the bottom-most rank as a consequence, with the only mission available to him was gathering herbs. Nigris realized that Azel already spread rumors about his uselessness among the crowds, which is why everybody has formed the impression that he really is a level 1 softie with nothing going for him. Nigris has to face the obstacle of finding a new party, but his reputation doesn't serve him best. Nigris wants to earn money to restart his adventurer life, so he quickly accepts the quest to pick herbs. The receptionist tells him that the forest is located in the north of the capital. Arriving in the north of the capital, Nigris finds himself collecting the herbs in the forest. The quest is fairly simple, but Nigris believes that even simple missions are useful to people. As he is about to leave, he sees a man running away at the speed of light. He wonders if he's just seen a merchant in panic. Suddenly, Nigris spots an overturned carriage and concludes that it must have been attacked by rogue bandits. Nigris pieces together the fact that the merchant must be the owner of the carriage and fled because of their attack. Nigris is shocked to discover a wounded child and realizes that she has a slave. The seal is acting harshly because of her distance from the merchant or her master. Nigris believes that leaving the child to herself will cause her a great deal of pain. With a heart of gold, Nigris channels his healing magic and pours energy into the child. Having recovered her wounds completely, Fels wakes up surprised to learn that she no longer feels any pain coming from her body. Nigris informs her that everything is alright and tries to tap into her status. Nigris discovers that she's an elf with low magic power and not exactly the best of stats because of her sealed magic. He notes that the elf is cursed and wonders if the curse is different from the slave seal from before. Nigris doesn't comprehend why she's a victim of sealing magic and is shocked to discover that she's basically a level 100 swordsman. Even though her current level of sword mastery is D, her talent for the skill is boundless. Nigris realizes that she must have been sealed in order to block her abilities from manifesting. The question is, who is the mystery man responsible, and for what cause? Fels thanks the adventurer for healing her wounds. Nigris informs her that he is capable of using healing magic, and frees her from the slave mark. Fels is stunned, while Nigris realizes that the girl must have gone through a lot of pain in her life. Nigris inquires for her name. The cheerful girl introduces herself as Fels. Nigris returns the favor, and states that he has a healer with assessment or appraisal skills. In fact, he was able to check her stats because of his skill. While he doesn't know why, Nigris tells her about the curse seal hindering her powers. He asks if the girl has a birthmark of some kind. Fels explains that she's had one on her ankle, except she was unaware it was a curse seal. Nigris is perplexed and contemplates that even Fels herself wasn't aware of the curse. He asks Fels if she could show her leg. Nigris sees the curse mark and realizes that it's actually a little complicated. Despite that, Nigris is capable of eradicating the curse in a simple manner. Fels is confused, while Nigris tells her that the curse won't have an impact on her body. He thinks it would be a good idea for her to use magic, so that they can confirm if the curse has truly been lifted. The cute little elf panics, as she has never used magic before. Nigris, being her teacher, coaches her on how to use magic. Following his instructions, Fels released an enormous, focused blast that eradicated everything in its path. Nigris is left utterly shocked, questioning the kind of power the elf girl has. The clueless elf inquires if she used magic. Nigris confirms, which makes her happy. Shockingly, the little elf girl has grown into monstrous proportions herself. She has grown into an adult form. Nigris doesn't follow her words. It is explained that the high-power magic elves often grow their bodies for added protection. The body is supposed to withstand the magic power, which means upon the activation of magic, the body matures. The elf girl is embarrassed because of hunger. Nigris decides it is best to grab a meal. The scene switches to another party that is surrounded by a pack of wolves. This is, in fact, the same S-rank party that betrayed Nigris. Hazel questions the status of the monsters, however, no one can assess their status at all. Hazel is attacked by the pack of wolves, meeting his well-deserved doom. As for Fels, she loves the premium meal Nigris treats her to. Nigris thinks she's too dazzled seeing such food for the first time. He also noticed that she wanted to sit on the floor because she was used to being a slave. Nigris tells her to eat before it grows old. Fels takes a bite and savors the taste. She eats with such delight, making Nigris happy as he is able to cherish her smile. His healing magic, which was previously called unnecessary, just saved the life of a slave girl, and he couldn't be happier. Fels thanks Nigris for saving her life and becoming the first person to treat her decently since birth. Nigris had never been thanked by the other adventurers for his abilities before. He denies Fels, stating that he should be the one to thank her instead. Fels is surprised and asks why, since she is the one who became indebted to her. Nigris explains that his parents were killed in a mission at a young age. He never wanted to save the elf girl in the hopes of repayment. In fact, the boy feels guilty that he wasn't there to save his parents with his magic. A pang of guilt he carries even now. Because of that, Nigris is adamant about helping people in front of him, despite their circumstances. He bolsters this resolve with all his might. Embarrassingly, he reveals that he was kicked out of his previous party because of that. However, Fels is far too amazed by his character and advises him to overcome his past. An inquisitive Nigris inquires where the elf came from. Fels tries to remember, but unfortunately doesn't recall. She had been a slave since birth. Nigris concludes that the elf shares no home. Nigris stares at the troubled elf and presents her with two options. Option 1 is for her to say goodbye to him and leave forever. The other option is for her to go on adventures with him. Nigris corrects her that he doesn't want her on the team because of her magic, but rather, he will feel happy if she joins. Fels is wonderstruck and immediately chooses to go with him. Her smile is so heavenly that it strikes the heart of the boy. Nigris accepts her decision, and the two decide to help each other with their powers. The receptionist informs them that their party registration is officially complete. The two of them together are supposed to begin their adventures at rank D with simple missions. Their first mission is to harvest herbs in the dense forest. With their current task completed, Nigris believes that it would be good to defeat monsters to improve their combat abilities. In the dense forest, they scout a red wolf. It is considered a strong monster, according to Nigris. Nigris tells her to watch as he goes out in the open. Nigris approaches the wolf, who growls at him. The monster pounces to attack the adventurer. Nigris swiftly dodges the attack with ease. Blindsiding the wolf, Nigris does one of those anime karate chops that are capable of bringing down gods. Having smoked the wolf to EP land, Nigris advises the elf to pay attention to the movement of the red wolf. Fels thinks highly of him and is surprised that he's skilled in combat. Nigris explains that his main roles are healing and support. Since healers are the first to be targeted in the group, Nigris had to develop combat abilities himself. However, his combat abilities rarely saw the light of day in the previous party, who shunned him for going headfirst. Nigris tells the elf girl that it's her turn to defeat the monster. He acknowledges Fels' swordsman's abilities and thinks that she should be capable of defeating a similar beast. Nigris tells her that it should be fine because he's going to support her with healing magic in the worst scenario. Holding a sword that's bigger than her own body, the elf prepares to fight. You would think that this tiny little girl isn't capable of anything, but that is until the wolves attack her. Fels displays expert swordsmanship as she slashes and brutalizes her opponents. She defeats a bunch of wolves at once, surprising Nigris a great amount. Nigris analyzes that she's enhancing her physical state as she fights and develops her own style. With both magic and sword mastery, Fels is a force to be reckoned with. After her battle, Fels proudly proclaims her victory. Nigris expressed that she was slightly injured. He heals her with his magic. Fels remarks that her body became lighter as a result. Nigris explains that the spell boosts one's physical abilities, too. Nigris explains an interesting concept surrounding strength. The body functions at 80% strength capacity, since going full Sigma mode could massively burden you. However, healing magic is a cheat code that allows you to function at max capacity without feeling the excessive burden. They return to the receptionist with herbs. What's more, they shock her by presenting red wolf fangs. The people are stunned, but they think it's just a fluke since Nigris is notorious due to bad rumors surrounding him. They even feel jealous of the elf girl and think that Nigris doesn't deserve a cute girl. The furious elf immediately questions Nigris after they leave the guild. She feels angry that they said bad things about Nigris, even though he saved her life. Nigris internalizes that he's a little glad someone else cares for him in such a way. While they're debating what to eat, a thief suddenly takes off, as if his girlfriend just texted him that her parents aren't home. The thief has the unfortunate encounter of bumping into Nigris and Fels. Fels instantly aikidos the living crap out of him, putting him on the ground. The thief questions if she's going to kill her at this point. Even now, Fels asks if Nigris got hurt. Nigris tells her he's fine, and thanks the elf for helping out people in town. She radiates with such joy that Nigris thinks that she's still 12 when it comes to her soul. The guards come to seize the thief. Nigris explains that the elf became responsible for catching him. They thank the elf, but she's too shy and hides behind Nigris. Nigris notes an injury on the thief's body and uses his assessment ability to check his status. Having learned something interesting, he inquires if his hands are injured. The man is shocked by how Nigris learned about something like that. The man explains that he was defeated by a monster and was left with no choice but to steal. Nigris explains that his injury might be curable. He tends to the man's injuries and realizes that his tendons were literally destroyed. Normal treatment would be absurdly difficult for this injury. Nigris wonders if the poor guy had to steal to feed his daughter. Being the good man he is, Nigris channels his healing ability and cures his wounds. With a perfectly new hand, the man is stunned that there is no pain in his body. In light of this event, he is reduced to tears and thinks that he can continue his work as an adventurer. As a final piece of advice, Nigris advises him to use a bow rather than a sword. The man is surprised that Nigris knows he is inadequate when it comes to swordsmanship. Nigris explained that he used his appraisal ability during treatment to determine his stats. He advises him to atone for his actions and redeem his life for his daughter. The man bows in gratitude and begs for his name. Nigris declares his name as the guards express their shock, having never witnessed the use of healing magic ever before. In fact, it is now confirmed to the people that the false rumors surrounding Nigris were all false. Fels admires Nigris' healing ability and states that she feels stronger, too. Nigris delves into the specifics of his spell and how concentrating on his opponent's thoughts increases its potency. Fels is amazed that his powers are heightened in such a way. The thief is endlessly grateful to Nigris for saving his life and tells him that he wants to return the favor. The man reveals that there are many people popping up as healers with unknown origins. He wants Nigris to keep an eye on such people living in the ghetto. Later, Fels questions the kind of place the ghetto is. Nigris speaks ill of it, and thinks that no one would willingly go there. Since beginner adventurers lack the funds to go on quests, they go out in ghettos to gain experience. The ghetto allowed for many societies to form, and is immune to the three big forces. The three forces consist of the government, the church, and the adventurers guild. The ghetto is excluded from all three categories, though the government keeps an eye on the area. Nigris believes that they should get more experience in the ghetto by taking up more quests. Fels agrees with the idea. Later that night, it is revealed that Azel's S-ranked party survived the wrath of the Red Wolves. He is furious about their defeat and pins the blame on the newbie. Even though the newbie tries to explain that he only followed Azel's orders, the insecure swine lashes at his own teammate and attacks him. Azel is annoyed that his teammates couldn't appraise a low-level monster and reduces them to their position. A bloodthirsty Azel is in the mood to kill the newbie to save their own skin. Hearing this, the newbie frightfully runs off. Azel orders his party members to arrest him and states that they have no choice but to complete the mission. Their main mission is to kill Queen Florence of the ghetto upon the request of many nobles. Azel succumbs to his greed and thinks that he will be acknowledged by the aristocrats upon the completion of this mission. Azel sets his sights on his next destination, the ghetto. Arriving in the downtrodden area known as the ghetto, Fels doesn't like that it's covered in intense darkness, while Nigris prioritizes finding a place to rest. They are approached by a bunch of strangers, who immediately recognize Nigris and state that Queen Florence demands his presence. Fels prepares her sword, ready to lunge at them. However, Nigris stops her and explains that they are dealing with a bunch of adventurers. Nigris thinks that they should follow their demands. Nigris and Fels are both seized and brought to Queen Florence. The queen meets the healer, who is known to have been kicked out of the S-rank party. Her servants shun the healer, calling him pathetic and useless. Queen Florence kicks him so hard that he is sent flying. Florence doesn't tolerate people who judge others by appearances. Nigris is intimidated by the queen and questions the kind of person she is. He peeks into her status and realizes that she boasts incredible strength. There is also a warning state, which makes him wonder if he is about to be attacked. Florence explains that she heard about a person who worked undercover in the capital and had their arm treated despite its incurable condition. Nigris is impressed by her research. Florence skips the filler and gets to the point. Nigris knows why the queen is looking for a healer. Nigris explains that she is looking for someone to heal her wounds, and if he fails, he's going to the afterlife. Florence is impressed by his appraisal skill in weeding out her intentions. She tells him that the people who came up to this point were all fake healers lying, so that they could exploit others. She wants Nigris to heal the symptoms she has been unable to treat on her own. A concerned Fels looks at him, while Nigris reflects that they're really going to die if he fails this mission. Nigris is confident in his healing ability and thinks that her only desire is to recover, despite looking for many healers. Nigris believes that it's a job that fits his caliber. He accepts her demands in exchange for their lives. Florence intently reminds them of the consequences that would follow if he fails. Fels voices her worry because Nigris is putting his life on the line for the cause. Nigris comforts the elf, stating that it's nothing to worry about, as he is required to help those who need his powers. Florence is surprised by the attitude of the slave and thinks that Nigris has found a good one. An annoyed Nigris responds that she isn't any slave but a companion. Florence tells him to follow suit. Nigris instructs Fels to stay put while he's done with their business. In a quiet room, Florence reveals her back. Nigris is shocked to see the wound on her body. At first, Florence is frustrated, thinking that Nigris will also fail like the others. However, Nigris tells her that it will take a few moments to heal. He tries to inspect the wound, but Florence slaps his hand away. A forceful Nigris tells her that he's trying to mend her injuries. This time, Florence allows him to touch her body. Nigris channels his healing magic and concentrates on the healing process. Since Florence's body is filled with wounds through and through, he has to heal more than just the shoulder. Nigris realizes that Florence must have been through a lot for this much pain. While healing, he peeks into her memories and realizes that Florence shared a loving bond with her mother. Her mother advised the little girl to stay away from evil before losing a battle to her illness. The little girl found it impossible to live alone and was forced to do everything to survive. However, when she saw the terrified looks of a family that reminded Florence of her own, everything changed. She wanted to see her mother. Queen Florence wanted to save the ghetto and worked to the bone to make it a place worth living. Having witnessed her memories, the healer accepts that she had to fight against many obstacles to survive. In fact, her mother's disease manifested in her body as well. Thankfully, Nigris' healing was capable of defeating the illness. Florence is shocked to see her recovered state. With everything settled, Nigris requests for his party to live in the ghetto. Florence is surprised that he isn't asking for anything more than a simple request. Nigris reveals that he merely hopes to heal as many people as he can. His attitude surprises Florence, who also shares the wish to save the city. Nigris reveals that he knows about her mother's advice because he's capable of seeing the patient's memories. He relinquishes her hope in her mother's words and pats her on the head for admirably protecting the city. Florence hollers a punch in his direction, but it's actually just a bump. A flustered Florence shows her tsundere side before leaving. Nigris returns to Fels, who is concerned about his safety. Nigris tells her that he has finished the treatment and finished the job. The servants of the queen are shocked that her body is really cured. Queen Florence issued her first command, which was to prepare a house for the healer. The people are shocked that she's capable of making such an expression on her face. Florence tells Nigris that she will provide him with whatever he needs. Fels is surprised by their development. Florence guides them to a location. They arrive at a castle, which is supposed to be their new place of residence. Queen Florence has just offered them a grandiose place to stay in. They don't even face any financial troubles, since Florence will take care of all of them. Nigris helps the adventurers make the best use of their talents through his appraisal magic. While he's helping them out, Florence genuinely feels happy. Fels wears a new outfit and asks for Nigris' opinion. An embarrassed Nigris tells her that she looks really good wearing that outfit. A happy Fels thanks him, and they share a feast soon after. It's been some time since they started living in the ghetto. Gaining some experience, they returned to the capital to raise their ranks even more. Fels wanted a hamburger for lunch, while Nigris was glad she was capable of expressing herself more often. They barged into a restaurant before going on the mission. However, something strange was going on. The people slandered a poor girl for her trash skills. She was told to get out of the city. The girl is about to get decked in the face. She tries to protect herself with her staff. Nigris stops the man's punch before it can reach her. Nigris tells him to stop. The man laughs, claiming that Nigris is the useless healer who got kicked out of the S-ranked party. He frees himself and tries to attack Nigris, calling him a deadbeat. Despite his best attempts, the slow-paced uncle, with a punch even a snail could dodge, is unable to hit him. Nigris makes him trip over as he kisses the floor. The stubborn man tries to attack again, but Fels is already there to show him the big guns. Fels warns him and is ready to kill the man if he tries to hurt Nigris. The man runs off, and Nigris tries to help the girl who was injured. The girl doesn't comprehend why she's being helped. Nigris explains that he wanted to help her for the cause. The girl is shocked that all of her wounds have been healed. Nigris nursed her body to full health and introduced himself properly. Alice thanked them for helping her out, but warned them that they would amass hate if they joined her. The reason is that she belongs to a useless race called the Nino. They have no talents, which is why people react harshly to them. Fels is incredibly pissed hearing how people treat Alice based on her kind. Nigris agrees, stating how bad people are those who are discriminable. Alice feels accepted and thinks that people should be envious of her mage talent instead. Alice is confident in her magic skills, while Nigris uses his assessment ability to gauge her magic proficiency. Upon using his assessment skill, Nigris discovers that Alice boasts immense magic power and sword mastery, which is equal to Fels. However, all of her other stats are incredibly low, making her a glass cannon. She also has a secret skill called the Primitive Thunder. Nigris is starting to think of her as a companion who could help them rank up. He confirms that Alice indeed boasts a high magic ability. Alice feels proud and calls herself a genius mage. Nigris invites Alice to their party since they're looking for another member. Alice is alarmed and happily accepts. In a different location, Alice showcases the extent of her magic abilities. Nigris signals the girl to attack him. Alice powers her staff and attacks with the full might of her thunder. Nigris is capable of fending off the attack with his healing magic. At the same time, he isn't impressed because her ability is far weaker than what is mentioned in her status. What is worse is the fact that Alice isn't holding back. She is still surprised that Nigris is capable of blocking such a strong attack. Nigris tells her that he's using a layered heal to block. The technique involves enveloping his body with layers of healing magic. That way, it strengthens the body from the inside and blocks any attacks coming from the outside. Nigris also states that it's a skill that he came up with by himself. Fels is impressed by Nigris' abilities, even though it was his first time using it. Alice, on the other hand, is shocked that he can assess and heal, making him different from the other healers. Nigris asks Alice if she can use magic besides her thunder ability. Unfortunately, Alice can't do anything apart from her thunder magic, boasting it as the most powerful magic in the world. Safe to say, Nigris isn't the most impressed, and questions why her powers are still unclear. Nigris contemplates, questioning the strength of the lightning strike, and why it is presumably lower than her potential. Nigris has doubts about the primitive thunder system, which may be responsible for blocking her ability. Alice, on the other hand, is curious why Nigris' healing magic is a cut above the rest. Nigris explains that he doesn't know, but there is one thing he thinks about during healing, which is to use healing magic anytime someone is in need. Nigris wonders if the mood makes it an important part of the healing process. The word mood captures Alice's attention. Alice reveals that magic was actually created to make others happy. The mood plays a huge role in the development of magic. This time, Alice thinks of the ones who believe in her ability and channel an incredible power. She roars thunder, descending an electrical storm that shocks all of them. Alice even surprises herself with the feat that she has just performed. With just one attack, she's destroyed half the forest. Alarmed, Nigris scolds her for idiotically provoking the defensive dragon's nest. Now that she has tampered with the nest, problems will arise for them. Nigris explains that he participated in a subjugation quest that failed, allowing the monster to evolve and increase the quest's difficulty. The SS rank creature towers over them, furious, being provoked by Alice's magic. Fels tries to help Nigris run away while she becomes the shield. Nigris refuses to run, while Alice reminds him that his previous party couldn't dent the monster. Nigris explains that he was using supporting magic, and now intends to fight on his own. Fels proceeds to back him up, and as a result, Alice joins the battle, too. Nigris breaks the standard of the healer operating as support. He knows something that could make a healer useful on the front lines. The dragon releases its breath. Nigris tells Alice to use her thunder ability at once. Alice uses it to block the attack, giving Fels the chance to strike from the side. She tries to slash the dragon, but its incredible speed not only keeps up with her, but also launches a counterattack. As the tail is about to hit Fels, Alice's thunder strike ends up actually connecting with the dragon. The dragon is struck with a heavy blow, forcing the dragon to crash to the ground. However, the dragon has yet to be defeated. Nigris finishes the battle with a punch to its gut, defeating the beast without difficulty. Alice and Fels are shocked that they were able to defeat a monster no party was ever capable of doing before. Nigris tends to the dragon and uses his healing ability to heal its wounds. Alice is shocked by his naivety, but Nigris knows that it was their fault to attack the dragon's nest in the first place. The dragon is considered the forest's protector, which is why he wants to restore its powers. Alice is concerned about their safety, but Fels explains that Nigris is a kind person who doesn't look for benefits from others' situations. He truly wants to heal everyone. Nigris successfully manages to heal the dragon's old and new scars. The revitalized dragon feels delighted and flies away. Alice sees this and asks if Nigris really wants her to be a part of the team. Alice accepts and wants to be in Nigris' party, but she's curious as to why he was kicked out of the S-ranked party in the first place. Nigris takes a second to answer. He explains the situation by returning to the past. Some time ago, after his birth in the village, his parents became unfortunate victims in a monster quest. Having no one to rely on, the boy was forced to work as a slave in the village, with nothing to go by. That was until one day, the village was attacked by terrifying monsters who wreaked destruction. Being one of the survivors, the boy was taken to an orphanage where he met Hazel, his childhood friend. Hazel invited him to his party due to his appraisal skill, but after growing up, Nigris learned that Hazel only cared about his abilities from the surface. Each time the team was promoted to a newer rank, the healer was mistreated. Eventually, they decided to kick him out. Nigris finishes his story. Both of the girls are angry at hearing how he has faced such misery throughout his life. Alice wishes to beat Hazel's party upon their next encounter. Having completed the mission, Nigris advises them to return to the inn. Back at the inn, Nigris is reading at night until he hears a knock. It's the cute elf who is concerned if he has slept. Nigris inquires if something happened. Fels makes a strange request, wanting to sleep with him. Obviously, Nigris finds himself flustered, but inevitably has to accept because of the elf's radiant smile. Nigris explains that he will sleep on the floor, but the elf doesn't want it that way. She wants him to rest on her lap and drift off to sleep. Nigris is tweaking, thinking about it. He does as she tells him. Fels explains that she feels sad hearing about his story. She can't fathom how Nigris could be treated in such a way, despite the best of his efforts. Fels suggests that they become a party even greater than Silver Wings. Fels vows never to leave his side, no matter the cause, so that they can share the experience. In his mind, Nigris envisions the 3 girls who care deeply for him. He thanks the elf for staying by his side as he drifts off to sleep. On a different note, the wretched Hazel steps foot inside the ghetto on his mission to kill Queen Florence. Hazel is prepared to kill Queen Florence on behalf of the noble, who tasked them with the mission. The noble informed them that the queen had an impediment, making it easy for the S-rankers to defeat her. Hazel carries the hopes of the man behind his back. His teammates question the purpose of the mission, and they wonder if the noble's intention is to seize the library. According to a rumor, the library contains a magic book that is deemed forbidden. However, they can't connect the dots on how the queen relates to the book. Hazel doesn't really care, being the brooding muscle type that he is. He just wants to complete the mission and steal the bag. Meanwhile, Nigris has a meeting with Florence, asking her about the progress of the people he appraised thus far. She gave him the update, stating that their police force has greatly increased thanks to his appraisal ability. She commends his sharp eye, while Nigris is glad that everything is proceeding smoothly. Suddenly, a man tells them that they've captured a bunch of rioters in the area. The S-rankers are all captured, while Nigris is shocked to see Hazel in such a location. Hazel spots Nigris and calls him useless. Queen Florence shows how much of a girl boss she is, by slamming him so hard he's knocked out in a single blow. With Hazel down, Florence questions if Nigris knows these scumbags from anywhere. Nigris explains that they used to be his friends at a certain point. Florence wonders if it would be a good idea to just kill them straight off, since they were hostile at the beginning. Nigris declares that they're not even worth killing. Adapting to the situation, Florence hauntingly tells the soy boys to pack it up and escape while they can. They're intimidated to the point they have to do just that. Fels questions why they even came here. Nigris wonders if there is a reason for them attacking the locals. Florence is undermined by the S-rank party and thinks that Nigris is contributing a lot with his powers. Nigris sulks because he was still kicked out in the end. Florence argues that they're the real pack of useless people who can't even fight. Nigris tells Florence that they have to leave, as per their appointment with Alice. The following day, an infuriated Hazel wakes up frustrated. He can't stand the fact that Nigris outdoes him every time. Hazel became friends with him at a young age and offered to help the boy when he was bullied. Nigris accepted his help and everything proceeded smoothly. That is until everyone fawned over Nigris' magic power and his assessment skill. They were a big fan of Nigris healing them all the time. Hazel grew a petty, jealous, and competitive side to him, vowing never to lose to Nigris no matter what. He thought of himself as the most powerful person and wanted to be in the spotlight at every event. And now, Hazel is infuriated and blames Nigris again for making them fail the mission. His teammates are fed up with his attitude, but Hazel is unchanging. He spots a carriage and strikes up an interesting idea. In the next scene, Alice's training is in session. She channels her thunder ability, rendering a huge storm. The goal of the training is to help Alice control her powers. Nigris notes that Fels has an upset expression on her face. He wonders what's wrong with her. Fels explains that her swordsmanship is limited, and she can't get past her current strength level. Nigris is surprised and decides to check her updated status. He notices that the level is now A, which is much higher than her previous rank. Surprisingly, her loyalty exceeded 100, which shouldn't even be possible. Nigris contemplates whether he should ask Florence how one can raise the swordsmanship level. He tries to cheer up the little elf, stating that they have enough time to grow. As for the daughter of Zeus, aka Alice, she celebrates having controlled some of her magic. Every time Fels sees Alice grow in strength, she feels jealous of their rivalry. The boy wonders if there is anything he can do to help her cause. Suddenly, they hear a voice in the forest calling for their help. The party follows the direction of the source. Upon following it, they discover an overturned carriage and a battle in progress. It's actually Hazel facing off against the guards. Nigris roars at his former teammate. Hazel is glad to have met him under such circumstances. He blames Nigris and wants to obtain valuable equipment by robbing the carriage. Hazel's descent into madness helps no one, as he becomes an obstacle to both his enemies and friends. Nigris' party commands Hazel to get away from the carriage. Hazel is surprised that Nigris found himself at a party and invites him to return. Nigris is stunned by the audacity of this pathetic adventurer. Hazel tells him that he knows about his relationship with Queen Florence. He wants Nigris to help him kill Florence, since they're tasked by a noble on this mission. Hazel tries to persuade Nigris using greed, in the hopes of making a noble. But Nigris isn't the least bit satisfied. He doesn't care about riches and states that Florence and other people are important to him. Nigris has no intentions of returning to Azel's party. Azel claims that he doesn't even have the right to refuse this request. Azel claims that useless people filled up his party, and he almost killed the previous teammate because of that. Nigris is colored, shocked at the lengths Azel is willing to go through. Azel once again blames Nigris for being the reason someone nearly got killed. He constantly pins the blame on Nigris. Fels can't stand his attitude and jumps in to attack Azel. Nigris stops her from doing so and thinks that she doesn't have to fight people like this. Azel mocks them and considers Fels a weakling. Nigris corrects Azel, stating that his opponent instead is supposed to be him. Azel laughs in his face, calling him useless as well. Alice is in the mood to kill all of them at once, but Nigris thinks otherwise, as he doesn't want the people in the carriage to get hurt. Alice and Fels team up to fight off Azel's party members. Azel charges in to strike down Nigris. His blade misses the mark. Azel sees Nigris trying to turn tail and run away. Azel chases after him with a senseless mind. Nigris plans to go deeper into the forest so he can fight with less damage. Azel questions if he plans to run away in this battle. Nigris stops his attack using his layered heal shield. The attack fails to penetrate his defenses, shocking Azel. To counter his old friend with a fist that he truly deserves, Nigris hammers him with a powerful strike. The attack crushes Azel's ribs as he gawks on the ground. While he's aching, Nigris reaches out to help recover the scumbag's pain. Nigris explains that he used his healing magic. All this time, Azel was under the impression that he was invincible, when in reality, it was Nigris who kept healing him time and again. Azel tries to attack Nigris again, only to get his sword swiped in moments. Nigris commands him to look at the truth because he has no other choice. He stands over his friend, stating how he healed him because he actually feels pity for him. Nigris towers over Azel, stating that he has to live for the sins for which he is responsible. Nigris tells him that he feels sorry for the guy. Azel crumbles in defeat. Nigris wants to return Azel to the guild so that he can apologize to the ones for whom he has caused much pain. Fels and Alice also arrive, having defeated the foes. They discover that Nigris has defeated Azel. Everything proceeds smoothly, and Nigris follows with his plan. He tells the receptionist about Azel attacking a non-combatant carriage. Nigris instructs her to keep an eye on the three. The rest of the adventurers in the guild are flabbergasted, seeing Nigris defeat and capture the S-rank party members, despite being D-rank themselves. Azel's future, as well as the future of his party, is sealed. The receptionist intends to handle the case of her own volition. She questions what happened to the member, who recently joined the party. Azel's own teammate rats him out, stating how Azel forced an attack on him. They screwed over Azel, who was going to extreme lengths for the cause. The receptionist declares that the guild will look into their mistreatments of others, as well as the previous cases that they've discovered. She refuses to glance over them and surrenders Azel's party to the guards. Nigris doesn't know what the future has in store for them. She tells him that they're supposed to be downgraded to the slave level for attempted murder. Nigris feels sorry for Azel, as he's going to become the dog of the nobles for the rest of his life. She didn't expect the S-rank party to boast such a performance, despite representing their entire guild. Alice argues that the guild had always been the same, judging people based on positions, and reducing her bounty because she belonged to a different race. Nigris argues that it's of no use to say that to Lisa, who is a receptionist. Lisa confirmed Alice's words and agreed with the flaws of the guild. She claims the guild master is greedy enough to favor strong parties, who reel him more money. Lisa believes that the incident is a result of the guild's poor conduct. She is unable to come to terms with the reality of the situation. Nigris judges Lisa's character and thinks that she's a responsible person. Finally, Lisa apologized on behalf of the guild and thanked them for capturing the notorious guild. Nigris is surprised that she bowed on behalf of the whole guild. Despite the guild's rules against bending down to adventurers, Lisa ignored the authority that the guild was trying to demonstrate over the adventurers. It's an incredible feat to show weakness on behalf of the guild. The apology is on behalf of the guild's acceptance of the wretched S-rank party, which represents the guild as a whole. So, in the grand scheme of things, they saved face. Nigris believes that Lisa is actually being genuine and advises her to lift her head. Despite his words, Lisa refuses to do so. Nigris is confused because Lisa confidently ignores the rules of the guild for her own justice. The guards arrive to update them on the situation. As for Nigris' team, they're left with a question as to what they should be doing. Since they're so exhausted, Nigris suggests they return home to eat some food. Thankfully, they've brought Hazel to justice, which was their main focus. However, they're all worried for the girl at the reception desk, wondering if she's going to be okay. Nigris has a pretty good idea of what's going to happen to her due to her actions. Nigris is confident she will be slandered by the guild. Suddenly, Fels noticed that Lisa was walking nearby. Lisa was startled when they called her out. Nigris asks if she's alright. Lisa revealed that she had actually left the guild, shocking all of them. Nigris questions why that happened so suddenly. Lisa explained that the guild judged people based on the rumors. Since she was angry at herself, she decided to leave without hesitation, and shares no regrets. What happened a few minutes ago is actually pretty evident in her words. Lisa sat in the office inside the guild. The guild master came and immediately questioned her for her behavior. The guild master shouted at her, reminding Lisa that she had disgraced the guild. Lisa realized then that the guild master knew about the Silver Wings' wrongdoings, and yet he decided to keep quiet all along. Slamming his fist on the table, the guild master roared, saying that the guild's value had increased through the S-rank party. It was because of that the nobles offered the S-rank party a quest. However, he's furious that Lisa sided with the party that brought them in, making the guild suffer tremendous losses. Lisa argued that a person nearly died, and he's talking mad crap about money. The guild master told her that no one cares about penniless cowards in the end. An annoyed Lisa told him that he only served himself. She had made her decision. Lisa declared to quit her job. That is what happened. Lisa finds herself puzzled. Fels is concerned that someone of such integrity could fall into unemployment in such a way. Fels asks Nigris if they can find her a job in the ghetto with Florence. Fels believes that they should help Lisa. Nigris agrees with the idea. He assesses Lisa's abilities and surprises himself, seeing an S-ranked skill. Nigris thinks that it should be more than sufficient to invite her into the ghetto. Lo and behold, Lisa is brought to the ghetto in the presence of Queen Florence. Lisa is worried that they'll make her work like a slave, but Nigris assures her that she's got nothing to worry about. Florence is a little upset that he brought a girl here. She finds Lisa particularly noisy at first. Nigris explains that her skill is considered rank S, meaning he will be a valuable asset to the area. Florence is impressed and thinks that she can be of use in sewing and crafting. Capitalizing on the moment, Nigris explains that Lisa's experience at the Guild of 10 years can make her a valuable teacher to others. Nigris suggests to Florence the idea of building a school where education is provided to children and adults alike. Florence is impressed and decides to accept Lisa under her care. Lisa was happy, while Fels was glad that she was able to secure the job. In private, Florence questions why Nigris brought Lisa at all. Nigris explains that it's all a suggestion of Fels. Lisa becomes a victim of the guild's mistreatment when she sides with their party instead of Hazel's corrupt team. She left the guild knowing that it wouldn't be useful to her, which brings them to the current situation. Nigris tells Florence that Lisa's ability to maintain justice in the corrupt guild is good enough, as people like her can't be ignored. Florence is impressed by his words. Fels joins them and receives a pat from Nigris, who thanks her for her help. Alice takes Fels away, separating the two. Florence is a little upset and asks Nigris about the true purpose of the S-rank party. Florence became a fan of his after learning that he had defeated them to protect her. Nigris thinks that it's quite a reductive way of describing the situation. Florence is a maiden in love, while Nigris recalls that the noble assigned them the task of killing the queen. He informs Florence that a powerful aristocrat is gunning for her. Florence enters a contemplative state and realizes that she should be a bit more careful behind her back. After handing Hazel's party to the guards, a bag of gold was sent to the group as a thank you gift for saving the carriage. Nigris finds it an absurd amount of money and wonders how they're going to spend this much. Fels tells him that they also sent some sweets. She cutely tries to make him eat the first bite. An embarrassed Nigris finally accepts. Alice teases them as she spies from nearby. Nigris is surprised that she's carrying quite a lot of luggage. Alice has decided to move in with them. Alice explains that she has no place to live in the capital, since no one is willing to rent a nido. The difference in the ghetto is that people are accepting of her, making it a comfortable experience. Alice wishes to live with them, and Nigris doesn't mind. Alice wants to make her exit, because she doesn't want to bother the two of them. Fels thinks that their castle is becoming more fun with more people. Nigris suggests that they go shopping in the capital. He knows that Alice will require food, so they need to be prepared for it. Fels feels a little flustered, seeing that the two of them will go shopping. Nigris takes her out with his W-Riz. As they're moving outside the ghetto, Fels notices how the area is flourishing in a way. One man recognizes Nigris and thanks the boy for all of his efforts. It is because of Nigris that the man was able to learn a skill and became a carpenter, building beautiful houses. Other people slowly begin to swarm them, thanking Nigris. Among the crowd, a small girl approaches Nigris, questioning if he has the ability to heal people. Nigris confirms that he does and asks if someone is hurt. The girl explains that he's the one who healed her father. Then, it is revealed that Yui's father is the same thief they met in the capital. He is shocked to see the healer who cured his arm. Nigris is glad that he was able to repay his sins. The man is grateful for his efforts and explains he resumed his adventurer life. Yui thanks Nigris for saving her father with a happy smile. Nigris feels delighted while Fels watches over him. They do a bunch of shopping, where Nigris explains they won't be going to the capital when everything can be found in the ghetto. They spotted Lisa, who had just taught the children at school that day. They met her and shared a conversation regarding how Lisa took an office job for Florence and taught the kids. Lisa's role is to teach the children how to read and write. She finds them obedient and thinks they're honest. Fels is glad that Lisa has recovered her smile while she is in debt for their favors. Nigris explains that Alice is supposed to live with them in the castle and offers Lisa to come visit them when she has time. Lisa was intrigued and decided to pay them a visit sometime. Witnessing the smiles of the people before him, Nigris vows never to live his life selfishly like Azel. He wants to color his life with experiences full of his friends, as that is his only desire. Deep in his cell, rotting in the chains, a man approaches Azel after his fall from grace. Azel questions the identity of the man. The noble reminds him that Azel still hasn't fulfilled his request to kill the queen. The noble is prepared to give him another chance. He explains that he's brought a summoning stone with a magical crest. This is an ancient weapon that operates differently than regular magic, a lost technique that strengthens when it's used for selfish reasons. The nobleman explains that the summoning stone is an armor that requires the support of a human and will become stronger over time. Azel is persuaded by its light and is asked who he wants to kill. The only words in Azel's mouth are obvious. He claims the stone and maddeningly wishes to kill Nigris once and for all. Having crushed the stone in his hand, the stone envelops his body, manifesting a dark appearance. The nobleman leaves and relies on Azel to finish his job. Later in their castle, Nigris explains that Alice has already fitted in nicely. Fels is curious about the mechanics of Nigris healing magic. Nigris thinks of a way to summarize it. Eventually, he claims that the magic operates in a basic manner. Fels is confused. Nigris tells her that he is capable of healing wounds and illnesses, rejuvenating a body to its healthy state. Alice tries to stalk, but chokes on her food. Alice thinks that what he said is beyond incredible. This is because a regular healer manipulates the patient's body to heal the wound, making some wounds totally incurable. However, in Nigris' case, it is quite different. He has the ability to pull off extraordinary healing. Alice seems to understand that the extent of his abilities is far greater than that of anyone else. Fels is a little underwhelmed for some reason. Nigris comes over to her and states that her swordsmanship is high enough, so she has no need to be jealous. Fels argues that she can't increase her level and reach the heights of her companions. Nigris assures her that she is talented enough. Suddenly, Nigris hears a voice coming from outside. An injured Lisa comes to him to issue a warning. Nigris comes out to explore the ghetto, finding it utterly destroyed. They can't comprehend why there are monsters surrounding the ghetto. Nigris hears the voice of a survivor girl and her mother. Alice tries to help them and tells Nigris to save the rest. Alice uses her new magic, releasing a black cat that destroys the debris blocking the child's mother. As for the monsters that are threatening the civilians, Fels arrives with Nigris to defeat them. Nigris explains that he has already defeated nearby monsters and tells the civilians to run away. They progress further, defeating many monsters and navigating through the destroyed ghetto. Nigris is mad as the smiles of the people faded into ruin. Finally arriving next to Queen Florence, Nigris questions what happened. Florence explains that the monsters suddenly invaded the ghetto, destroying the houses. She tried defeating the monsters by herself, but the number was far too great. Nigris asks about the damage caused to the village. Florence is unable to comprehend the situation and breaks down in mental anguish because she forces her to be incapable. Florence begs Nigris to help them, and Nigris, being the good-willed hero that he is, complies with her request. Nigris remembers the smiles of the people he saved and vows to save everyone with his powers. Nigris wishes to save everyone with his powers. Florence tells him that there are rumors of a black dragon, as well as a white dragon in the center. Nigris knows about the black dragon, but never knew about the two dragons. Nigris tells Florence that he will deal with them. Fels wants to go with him, but Nigris turns her down, stating that she should protect the people around the area. Fels is frustrated and questions whether she is weak. Nigris denies her, telling Fels that he wants the elf to protect the people he loves most. Fels states that she shares his mood and wants to help the people in the ghetto. With Fels guarding the area, Nigris looks to Alice to defeat the two dragons. He grabs Alice and tells her to use her magic ability from a long-range distance. Alice reveals that she can use her black cat magic to do a number of things. Nigris wants her to leave the area to the cat while they deal with the rest. Nigris grabs Alice and advises her to give her 100% in this final blow. Arriving at the location, they discover that the defended dragon has been defeated. Yui is seen terrified around the beast. A nightmarish monster with devilish horns rises to defeat them. This monster is the black dragon that has caused them so much trouble. The dragon tries to squash Yui under its leg, but suddenly it is struck with a mighty blow by the healer himself. Nigris redirects the dragon's attention and realizes that the beast had no effect on its body despite the serious attack. Nigris' attention is focused on the barrier above as he wonders what it's about. Nigris realizes that Azel's body is actually being used as a vessel for the beast. The furious Azel, despite his state, only has one desire, which is to kill Nigris. He roars in anger while Nigris thinks that the dragon's goal is to chase them. Alice uses her thunder magic to stop the beast, but it's of no use.